Hello, hello, hello. It deserves three. Welcome back. I'm Connor Delaney.
I'm Michael Wolf.
Good to be back. Great to be back. Mike, how you feeling? How's the start of semester for you so far?
It's all right. I'm making sure I skip all my classes to get my football stats in, everything fantasy football, getting everything ready just so I can bring it to you here.
That's what I like to hear. Speaking of football, I figured it makes sense to jump right into the NFL. What do you think?
I think so. I think one of the main things to talk about is all the 3-0 teams. Who's the biggest surprise this year for you?
Biggest surprise? I have to go with Kansas City. New coach, Andy Reid coming in, starting off 3-0, beating his old team, Philly. I think Kansas City is the biggest surprise for me at the moment. What do you think?
I have to agree as well. Alex Smith, he's a great quarterback. I don't think San Francisco should have ever let him go to begin with.
Yeah, they're probably pretty upset about that decision
now that they got their new coach, Andy Reid, I think they're going to do great. Jamal Charles, they have a good team. What I really want to talk about is the 0-3 Giants. There's no way that
we don't even deserve to talk about them. What's there to talk about? They're terrible.
Listen, there wasn't much more of a must-win game than against the Panthers, and there wasn't much more of a gimme this season.
They didn't even put a point on the board against the Panthers.
It's against one of the worst teams in the league, offensively, defensively, and the Panthers just came and completely destroyed them. You got Peyton Manning, who's pretty much first in the league, passing-wise, with everything.
First in the league, guy has. All right, so here's a little fun fact for the day. Tom Brady, when he broke the touchdown record, he had 11 touchdowns at this point in the season. Peyton has 12. Do you see it as a realistic option that Peyton could possibly break that single-season record of touchdowns?
You know what? Peyton Manning got the 7 touchdowns in the first game of the season. That's not going to happen again this season. Tom Brady had more opportunities
with that
to
offense
throw
and Peyton Manning.
like
How can you say that's not going to happen ever again?
I'm not going to say ever again. This season, it's not going to happen.
He's
number one. He's number one in
that offense
percent.
Is scary. The way he runs that offense, the tools that he has in that offense, Wes Welker.
He's got a great backfield. Yeah.
The backfield between Morano there.
Their defense is phenomenal. They get him the ball whenever they need.
Exactly. And the way he runs the offense, defenses have 12, 15 seconds in between plays. Here's what that does to be able to set any type of formation up or get your things together. They get tired. And then you got Demaryius Thomas, who just runs a 4-2. It looks like Anthony Mott's out there on my flag football team. It's just like it's too fast for some people, and it's just you can't hang.
It's funny because I remember right after the neck surgery, got
to work on those catches.
Pretty much everyone would say Peyton's not going to be back to the way he was. He's going to get hit. It's going to go wrong, and that first hit that he's going to take, it's going to be the end of his career. And look at him now; he's doing better than he's ever done before.
Well, we got guys like Ryan Clady, 6'5", 360 blocking for it. I think he feels pretty comfortable in the pocket right now. He looks pretty comfortable.
His O-line was never a problem on the Colts until maybe later in his career.
Let's talk.
And he always had his receivers, so he's playing his best football right now.
Fair enough, and I can't not see him continuing to play this well.
I agree.
Looking at other teams, obviously we exhausted Peyton Manning there. In my opinion, best quarterback in the league, best quarterback of all time, in my opinion. Humble opinion. New England, Miami, both 3-0 in their division. That's a big surprise. Talking about the Dolphins being 3-0, coming out like that. Tannehill playing some good football, have some late, fourth quarter drives down the field for some touchdowns. Is Miami a threat to New England in that conference? I wish the Bills could be a threat, but I'm realistic, unlike some of our biased fans we have here.
Here's the thing. Miami's a 3-0 team. New England's a 3-0 team. They're probably at the bottom of the barrel of those who deserve to be 3-0 this season. Mm-hmm. Along with Denver, they're at the top, 3-0. Miami, they're not going to be able to contain what they have for the rest of the season. New England will be. Miami's doing a great job tackling. That's a lot of times what they struggle in, and their defense is doing great. They're tackling everybody. No one's getting past them. New England's going to slow down as well, but they're going to take the division. Dolphins are going to slow down. There's no way they're going to keep up with what they're doing.
What are the chances Buffalo wins the division?
I think Jets have a better chance.
Give it to me straight.
You know what? Speaking of Buffalo, I got to give it to E.J. Manuel. He's one of the best rookie quarterbacks there is right now. He's playing great, except for that game against the Jets towards the end.
You hear that, E.J.? I'm sure he
towards the end when he didn't even give his receivers a chance to win the game. There was a short fade route on the right side of the field.
Well, they should have beat New England week 1. If Stevie Johnson catches that pass for the first down and then move the chains and they run some clock
Listen,
off,
there's a lot of ifs. But you see with that game, there was a possibility. With the game against the Jets, he didn't even give them the possibility. He threw the ball out of bounds on 4th down to not even give them a shot. Yeah, so if that ball was inbounds, at least maybe they would have intercepted, maybe they would have swatted it, but that would have at least given the receiver a chance to catch it, win the game.
Last topic of football here while we're still talking football. How good are the Seahawks? 3-0, dominated the 49ers. Are they legitimate as far as the favorites right now in the NFC?
I think coming into the season they were. Before we even knew how good they were going to play, I think everyone knew they were going to play good. They have a great defense. Their offense is great.
Secondary.
Secondary is unbelievable. But again, we knew that coming in. We knew they were going to be a great team. It was going to be 2-1, 3-0. They have so many weapons. It's just unbelievable. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, beast mode at the running back.
Beast mode.
And you know what? I'm going to have to call you a liar. That's not the last topic we're going to talk about for football. We got Brett Favre. Bus Cook, Brett Favre's agent, says that Brett Favre is in the best shape he's ever seen him in physically. 7.5% body fat.
Wrangler's probably trying to cut his commercial
4 to 5 miles a day.
He's not.
Now listen. He's 225 pounds now. He's coaching a high school team in Michigan. But here's the thing. You know, you got Peyton Manning 3-0. They go on a playoff run. You know, he did have that surgery. Peyton Manning gets hurt. What happens? They're going to put in their second QB for the playoffs? I don't think so. I think what they're going to do is they're going to get an experienced quarterback and bring in Brett Favre.
You think the Broncos are going to sign Brett Favre?
I think they could. Would you want the no-name in for the playoffs? That doesn't make any sense when you could probably get an experienced playoff quarterback.
You're going off strictly speculation that Peyton isn't going to stay healthy and get hurt.
Speculation, complete speculation, but there's other teams in that situation as well. And being that Brett Favre is a high-caliber quarterback still, he could be back. All that talk for years and years of his retirement, he could be coming back again.
For the first time ever, I'm at a loss of words for this argument about Brett Favre. I don't know. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see, Brett Favre. He's one of my favorite players of all time just because how tough he was and, how he carried himself on the football field. But, Mike, I love you. I disagree. I don't see Brett Favre coming to the Denver Broncos. I think the last team, the way they're in cruise control right now through that division. All right, so last topic, football then, if you want to stay on football. Right now, we're 3 weeks in, Super Bowl prediction, so we can go back to this when the Super Bowl actually comes around. Give me something. Who do you have?
I feel like there's so many things that are going wrong for teams, so many things going right. You can't choose that right now. Like I said, teams deserving to be 3-0, teams not deserving to be 0-3.
I need something. I need something from you.
I'm going to give you.
It can be a bold statement.
I'm going to give you a bold NFC statement. You're probably not even going to see this coming.
You said the Redskins last, before we broke for the summer. They're 0-3 right now, so they have some work to do.
Listen.
So maybe you can change that.
I'm going to tell you right now, the New York Giants are going to finish out 9-7. They're going to get the wild card. They're going to do what they always do, boom through the playoffs. I have the Giants NFC. I'll let you give me the AFC, and then I'll tell you what the final score of that game is going to
be. The Giants. You're going to honestly look at me for the sake of the show, and you're going to tell me the Giants are going to the Super Bowl in the NFC.
I would like you to answer the question.
All right, if that's the case, it will be a Manning Super Bowl then. It'll be, according to Mike, it will be the New York Giants versus the Denver Broncos, Peyton versus younger brother Eli, who will probably at this point be retired or something because of how bad he's playing thus far this season. What's the final score of that game going to be, Mike? Just out of curiosity.
I'm going to give it 31-24.
Giants.
New York Giants.
New York Giants. You heard. Yeah, I promise you heard it here first. I promise you heard it here first. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back to our second half. Stay tuned, guys.
We are not doing that good. Right now, Spencer's beating us, and we cannot have that happen. UA overtime.
Welcome back to our second half of UA's Double Overtime. This half, we're going to talk about a little bit of the Major League Baseball. We're going to talk about a favorite team of ours, which I think Connor knows as well as the New York Yankees. It's a sad day for the New York Yankees. We finally find out that there is no chance to make the playoffs this season, in which I am on the verge of committing suicide. That is the second time in 19 years that this has happened. Connor, how do you feel about that? I know you're sitting there sorrowing as much as I am.
I'm pretty upset about this. As you say, second time in 19 years. I'm getting a little emotional actually talking about it. It hits home.
Yeah. Now, do you think it's due to injuries? Do you think it's?
I think it's due to a lot of things.
Skill?
I think Joe Girardi first did a great job trying to manage that lineup, but we don't have like day-to-day congruity within the lineup. You can't get in a rhythm between players don't get comfortable with each other. I mean, there was times where you'd have Jeter get hurt, A-Rod would come back. A-Rod gets hurt, Jeter comes back. Teixeira was off and on all season. Cano didn't play like the Cano that we would have liked to see down the stretch.
When you have your captain Derek Jeter not only not play a full season, pretty much sit out the whole entire season due to injury, and he's sitting there watching his players suffer with injuries to Granderson, to Shera. We had a great pickup in Euclid. He can't even play. It just really wasn't their year, and it sucks to think like that. This was the last chance for Mariano, for Andy Pettitte, and maybe Andy Pettitte came out late in saying his retirement, but we all knew this was his last year. Jeter, it's going to be Jeter's last year with his buddies. It's tough to go out like this, but it happens.
And I mean, we're known. We know the Yankees as the Bronx Bombers. They went from hitting 245 home runs last season to only 143 this season. I mean, that right there that should attest to, not having those power hitters in the lineup, every day. It goes a long way, and that stadium is built for home runs, and for them to not produce the amount that we're used to seeing from them, that in itself should say something's up. And this is a huge. I like to open this up for discussion because this is a huge topic as far as this. This is a huge offseason for them for free agency. You got Cano wanting the big bucks. Yankees not really kind of agreeing with him with the type of money that he wants.
I'm actually very scared about that because
I'm nervous as well.
When that contract is up, where's Cano going to go? I would like to say that he would stay with the New York Yankees. He's he's a homegrown player pretty much. He's been on the Yankees since the start of his career. It'd be sad to see him go. It's almost like watching Derek Jeter go.
It's not like seeing Jeter because I think it's Jeter's time. Where Cano, you want to see him there because he's the future. He's something you can build around.
No, of course. I mean, if Jeter were to be at the end of his contract and to leave for a different team, it would be like seeing Jeter go that way. Speaking of people leaving,
I think it's time to say goodbye to Jeter, though. I really do. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I love seeing a retired Yankee. You got to do what's best for the club. And he's not producing. He's not the Jeter that we're used to.
He's not producing. He wasn't able to produce. It was that whole ankle injury. He came back too early, and it just sparks more injuries. When you're playing hurt, you're not only going to re-injure that injury, but you're going to get hurt somewhere else on your body as well, because you're forcing your other body parts to
your
pick up the
body's half
slack.
blood, half dust. What do you expect from
That's
him?
not true. If Jeter's willing to play the outfield, if he's willing to go
the outfield,
yes, if he's willing to play the outfield, we could keep Jeter on the team. He's still a good hitter. He can still bat over 280, and that's exactly what we need. He's not going to be your shortstop. He doesn't have the range anymore. He's still a good fielder, but when you could get a better shortstop in there, you might as well put Jeter to the outfield. Don't act like that's a surprise. That's been in discussion for years. When Jeter gets too old, that's been in discussion for years. Don't act like you never even heard that opinion. You have a choice to keep Jeter on the team to bat instead of a possible 250 to 270 batting average.
What did he bat this season?
He couldn't bat. That's the whole point of what we're talking about.
They need help with the pitching staff. First off,
with
the home runs, the offense will come with the Yankees. It always does. But they were giving up. I mean, their run average game as far as letting up runs, they were getting smacked. They were letting up. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'd like to find out the number of home runs they let up this season in their ballpark compared to the number they produced.
It felt like every time I watched, I was watching one every 3 innings, honestly. And that just can't happen when your ace is getting paid
hurt right now.
When your ace is getting paid over $20 million a year, and his ERA is around 4.5. When Andy Pettitte, one of your most consistent pitchers of all time, is not pitching up to his capability, he's letting up home run after home run, which is not something Andy Pettitte does. It's horrible to see, and you can't win games like that. You can't win games when your pitchers aren't producing. When the money that you're getting paid is not equivalent to the skill you're putting out on the field, you're not going to win the games. There's too much money in that lineup, and honestly, this might be the time to let go for the Yankees right now and restart, regrow the team.
But
you're not going to get another chance
someone
again.
like Cano is huge because he's the type of guy that you're going to need as far as
you need to build around someone.
Him, and that's what they have. Guys like Gardner, Cano. I mean, really, they got to bring some young talent in. They bring these guys like Teixeira, who sure they have. But they've already gone through their prime. Teixeira went through his prime in L.A. and with Atlanta. He wasn't. He's coming to the Yankees. Sure, he was good, but he wasn't coming in ready to go. We need to get a guy like Jason Hayward. I'd like to see a guy like that be brought in. Someone young who has the talent. That's what the Yankees need. Someone they should have went and got Felix Hernandez when he was available. Now he's way too good in Seattle. But someone like that, CeCe's great. He was great in Milwaukee coming in. But again, he's getting up there in miles. He's a workhorse, and his arm's taking a lot of toll.
It looks like
the guy's throwing 220 innings a season. That's a lot to throw. And the Yankees rely on him. And right now, where is he? He can't get them to the postseason because he's hurt.
I agree.
Before we get,
I think we should stop harping
move
on
on.
it. And
I
think a couple of goodbyes are in order, though.
Absolutely.
A real big, great goodbye to Mariano Rivera. greatest closer of all time, one of the greatest
One of the
pitchers
greatest
of all
pitchers
time.
of all time. Forget greatest closer of all time. The
know.
guy's been doing it nonstop in the postseason. Talk about ERAs.
He's first in career saves, 634. 0.7 ERA just in the postseason.
Exactly.
You're not going to get better than that.
3 blown saves, something like that in the postseason.
First ballot Hall of Famer easily.
Oh, absolutely, without question. And it's. I'm glad to see him came back, and the adversity he had to face with getting hurt, and that was tougher to see for him. He didn't want to go out that way. So it speaks a lot to his character and the type of competitor that Mo is to come back. Didn't work out in his favor, but he still came and he started off the season with 25 straight saves.
A boom.
And it shows you forget the team, but just the type of player he is, and to be fortunate enough to watch someone like that in Yankees uniform for as long as you've been able to. It's really talk about a replacement. Talk about an offseason and find a replacement for that guy. It's like.
That what
that's the biggest.
The thing is that that's not going to happen. You're never going to be able to replace Mo. Honestly, their best option to replace Mo, or not replace him, but to fill in perhaps, David Robertson. I say you move David Robertson to the closing spot.
For now, yeah, I mean that's probably what I'm doing.
You know what? It's just to grow up watching the greatest closer of all time, and then now you're faced with having to not know who your closer is going to be, not know what it's going to be. It's it was such a safety. It was such like. To be able to go into the eighth, you're in the eighth inning going into the ninth with 1 run. Usually teams would be like, what, anything could happen at this point. When Mariano's going in there, it's over. The Yankees are going to win. They're going to get to the next game with a W. It's going to be hard to see next year, but you know what? I enjoyed all the time I got to watch with Mariano Rivera.
And I think, I'm kind of just thinking like, who are they possibly going to find to replace Mariano?
There will never be one,
and there really won't. It really won't because it's like he was so reliable. Like you said, he was coming down the ninth inning. But we'll see what happens.
Another big goodbye. I wish I could hug and kiss him myself to Andy Pettitte, number 46.
You're a huge Pettitte fan. I'll let you take this one.
I'm a giant Pettitte fan. My sister is the biggest Pettitte fan I've ever met. You know what? 1,958 strikeouts. It's the most in Yankee history. He's got the most career postseason wins at 19. He's one of the most consistent Yankee pitchers to ever play the game. And one of the most consistent pitchers to ever play the game, I'm sorry. And it's just, when I was younger, like I said, it was my sister's favorite pitcher. So every Yankee game we went to, it was always an Andy Pettitte start. I never saw a Roger Clemens start. I never saw any of those starts at the stadium, at least. And you know what? I grew to love him myself, and he's just that workhorse as well. You call CC Sabathia a workhorse.
And for him to come back like he did and perform as well as he did.
Exactly. He always wanted to come back, and the reason why he retired in the first place was to stay with his family. He wanted to do the right thing for his family. And when his family saw that he was struggling, he wanted to play baseball, they knew that they needed to let him go and play, and that's what they did. And unfortunately, he didn't have the season he wanted. He didn't get the wins he wanted, but you know what? It's not a bad way to see him
go. If Andy saw this, and he saw the way you're talking about him right now, I'm sure it'd bring him to tears. The passion, I feel the passion right here just sitting next to you.
Man, to see another great Yankee pitcher go, it's really hard. And soon it's going to be Jeter. We're already going through. We already said goodbye to Jorge. Yeah. Now we're saying goodbye to Mariano. Yeah. We're saying goodbye to Andy Pettitte, and then next is Jeter.
A lot of goodbyes going on here in UA overtime.
And then after that, it's it's pretty much a whole new ball club once those 4 are gone.
It's
going to be our childhood's over.
Yeah,
that's going to be our transformation into adulthood once our core 4 is gone. But that wraps up the second half. We'll see you at the big finish.
Pieces of you.
Welcome back to our our last segment of the show. We'll have a big finish. But before we jump into that, there's been a little controversy going on in the NBA. We have Kevin Durant coming out and say that he would replace Dwayne Wade's in the top 5 for James Harden. Dwayne Wade came out and fired a tweet saying, "Don't make me respect you again," as if mentioning to the finals a few years back where he kind of destroyed Kevin Durant. What do you think of this?
I'm going to cut you off right there. It's actually the top 10 basketball players. Dwayne Wade was positioned
top 10. That's what I said.
Top 5.
Top 5. Top
Dwayne
10,
Wade was positioned at 8. Kevin Durant took him completely off the list. Didn't move him to 9. Didn't move him to 10. And threw James Harden in there. And Dwayne Wade said, "Oh, I'm going to make him respect my place in history again."
Again, yeah.
So
I just said that. It's all right. Anyways, do you agree that first off of him taking him out of the top 10?
Yeah, I agree. He's old. He's hurt. He's not where he used to be. Don't get me wrong. When Dwayne Wade won the MVP of his NBA Finals, that was one of the greatest NBA Finals that will go down in the history of NBA. But you know what? Dwayne Wade is not that player anymore. Am I saying he's not top 20? I think he's top 20. I will not put him in the top 10. There's way better athletes, way better basketball players.
I like James Harden. I think
the only reason why he's still relevant is because he's with LeBron James now. That's the only reason why he's still relevant.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. LeBron James is the greatest player in the world. James Harden, great offensively, defensively not so much. If he could work on defense, I think he would be there as far in the conversation with Dwayne Wade. But Dwayne Wade does everything. So I think that he I don't think he's top 10, but I think he's a little better than Harden just because he's more well-rounded. But what's Kevin Durant? Obviously, he's boys with Harden. They play together. He got a reaction out of Wade. That's probably what he wanted. And it makes it exciting. It makes it exciting for down the season. Those are the two favorites in each respective conference. So I like it. I think it gives some excitement to the NBA, which I'm very excited for the season to start. Guys like Derrick Rose coming back.
Well, let me ask you now. You replace James Harden with Dwayne Wade. Which team is better with the Heat? The Heat with Dwayne Wade or the Heat with James Harden instead of Dwayne Wade? That's a
completely different team. I mean, you got LeBron.
Which team is better?
I think the Heat with Wade and LeBron. I think they have better chemistry.
I definitely disagree with that.
I think Wade complements LeBron much better than James. James Harden's the type of guy that you want as your number one scorer on the team. Not necessarily that LeBron has to be the number one scorer because he can do anything he wants. He can drop 15 dimes in a game if he wants to. However, I think Wade does complement LeBron better in that system that they implement there in Miami. Not to say that LeBron could play with you, me, Spencer, and Kwesi, and he's going to take him, to the playoffs. It doesn't matter who's on LeBron's team. James Harden offensively is better than Wade, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what LeBron needs. You catch what I'm,
That's fair.
Catching my drift?
That's definitely fair. Now let me ask you something. Kevin Durant, KD Trey 5 at KD Trey 5 decided to tweet, "Show me, don't tweet me." ...
Yeah, I like that.
Is that childish or is that warranted?
I mean, it's a little childish, a little mature. I mean, social media, come on, guys. But it's fun. It's fun for the NBA. It's going to be exciting when it's going to be blown up. It's going to be all brought back and made relevant again once the season starts and they play each other for the first time. So I like it. I think it makes it something to look forward to. Let's wrap this up. Let's get into our big finish. Why don't you go start us off with that? Because first topic, we got some rugby we're on the show. So let's start off the big finish here.
All right. Well, it's there's been reports of Tebow possibly playing rugby now, not even going to the Canadian Football League, going to rugby. What do you think of that?
Guy has potential as a rugby player. He could do it. I don't know. I mean, I think Tebow's got. I mean, when you got heart, you can do whatever you want. A guy could be, the quarterback of the New York Giants, which they need a quarterback right now. Moving on, Mariano, worst gift. What do you think of the worst gift he got was?
The worst gift? Wow, I can't even tell you. There was every single gift that he got was the worst gift. Besides the donations to his charity, I would have to go. Oh, that was the great gift. The worst gift has to be the sandcastle made by Seattle of a giant face of him that looked nothing like him. Or maybe it was the 3 guitars that he doesn't even play guitar.
I say the 3 guitars.
Or maybe it was the 40 different paintings of him. How many paintings of himself is he going to hang inside of his house? That makes absolutely no sense.
You got a pretty big home.
I could go on. I'm not even going to keep going. NBA nicknames.
Cool or uncool? I have to say uncool. I mean, I don't care. I'm just excited for the NBA to start.
It's a giant moneymaker.
It is.
That's all it is.
That's
it's a giant moneymaker. They're going to sell more jerseys. They're going to do everything else. I mean, do I really want to see certain players? There's teams that you don't even know who the players are going to have nicknames on their back. That makes absolutely no sense.
Floyd Mayweather. I mean, he just dominated Canelo in a very good performance. People thought it was going to be a better fight than it was. What's next for him, and do you think he's just the greatest right now?
What's next for him? Next for him is Pacquiao. We need to see that. You have to see that. There's so much talk about that. You need to see it. Just get it over with. End it. Is he the greatest ever? Absolutely not. There's so many better fighters.
Wow. Tim Bradley's going to retire Juan Manuel Marquez, and then he's going to fight Tim Bradley, and Tim Bradley might give it to him. Doubt it. Floyd Mayweather's going to retire undefeated. Let's move into the football matchups. Take your pick. We have tonight. We have St. Louis versus San Francisco in St. Louis. Big game for San Francisco. They need a win. They need to get back to 500. Can St. Louis take them?
I think San Francisco needs this win. I think they're going to give it their all, but I think St. Louis might actually take it. St. Louis is a lot scarier than most people want to believe.
I'm going to take San Fran just at the fact that I think Jim Harbaugh is going to get his guys fired up and get them excited and stuff, but they need this W.
You know what? Miami Dolphins and the New Orleans Saints, both 3-0. Who's finishing 4-0? Who's finishing 3-1?
I gotta give it to the Saints. Drew Brees is too good right now. Jimmy Graham's catching everything that's getting thrown to him. That offense is too explosive. They are on a mission to prove something. With the whole bounty scandal and Sean Payton coming back, they're on a mission right now. I think they're looking to take some names. Right
I would definitely have to agree. And I want to bring up one more thing before you finish. You spoke about Tebow and Hart. And I feel like I can't end without saying. Once you mention Hart, I got to say, a man equipped with just his heart could beat a man who solely relies on skill any day of the week. And with that being said, I'll let you finish it off.
I don't know if there's anything I could possibly say to compete with that. Guys, thanks for tuning in this week. Great show, Mike. It's great to be back alongside with you. Really enjoy it always. Tune in. We'll see you guys next week. All right.
Catch you later if you give me a good pass.